As Vice Chair, I am thrilled to call the April 28th meeting of the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the election of our new chair. The Vice Chair would entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Larry Manatee as chair.
Sounds like a great motion. Do I have a second?
I would honorably second that.
All right. Would you please cast your votes? Well, unanimous vote. Vote. We have a unanimous vote. Did you vote for yourself? Yes. Okay, well, great. I think we have a new chair. Let's congratulate. The meeting is officially turned over to our new chair.
Thank you. There's a lot of pressure up here. Linda Hopper said, will I do a good job? And she said, I asked her what to define a good job. She said, one that's quick. So we've got a new mode up here. See if we can break a speed limit on what it takes to get through one of these things and still have all the I's dotted and T's crossed. With that, our next item on business is to swear in our new trustee, John Pettis. Would you take the honors for that, Francis?
Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, John A. Pettis, Jr.,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey and defend
the Constitution of the United
the
States
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of
and the
Oklahoma,
Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
and that I will not knowingly
that I will not knowingly
receive directly or indirectly
receive directly or indirectly
any money or other valuable thing
any money or other valuable things
for the performance or
for the
non-performance
performance or non-performance
of any act or duty
or any act of duty
pertaining to my office
pertaining to my office
other than the compensation allowed by law.
other than the compensation allowed by law.
I further swear
I further swear
that I will faithfully discharge my duties
that I will faithfully discharge my duties.
as a trustee of the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust,
Can you repeat that again? Long word.
trustee of the Oklahoma City,
The trustee of the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust
to the best of my
to
ability.
the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you, John. Welcome. We look forward to working with you on this trust, sir. Next item on our agenda is to approve the minutes of the March 24th, 2015 Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes. Next item is to ratify the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust claims.
Your Honor, I'd move approval. There's a number of large items, though, and I appreciate Kathy and Brent providing some information, but would appreciate if they could cover the top lines on some of those expenses, but I would move the item.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Please cast your votes. And they are ratified. Next are items for individual
I think
consideration.
you wanted,
Oh, did you have?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was hoping
gotta
that
be
they might.
quick.
Yes, apparently.
We're going right.
I don't mean to delay the new record we're setting, but I would appreciate, there's several multi-million-dollar items.
Yeah, we can go through these pretty quickly. There's a payment to Century Center Development for the Kotba Garage renovations at the Century Center Garage. $900,000 of that was to 100 Main LLC, and then $100,000 to Kotba. There's a $1 million claim for the Steelyard residential project loan. That is for the Steelyard project in Bricktown residential development, about 250 units. There's also a payment for the 10th and Broadway project, which is the parking garage. That project is completed, and so there's a $2 million payment associated with that. We also have on the claims at the top of the list our annual debt service payment for TIF 2 of $651,077.32. We also have payments to Oklahoma County for their garage renovation That's 521, 341. And then to the OCU Law School, it's their final payment for the improvements that we funded through TIF near the new OCU Law School. So,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a follow-up, if I might. So the Century Center and the Steel Yard and the 10th and Broadway, are those full and final payments of what's expected?
yes.
Thank you.
I think, well, their Steel Yard has an amount that will be due after the project is completed.
Right. This was just a loan for them to support the utility relocations that they're doing right now. But we won't start making any additional payments to them until post-completion of they complete the project.
Any further questions from the trustees? Okay, on advice of Francis, we don't need to re-vote, so let's move on to the next item on our agenda. These are items for individual consideration. First up is a final acceptance on Streetscape Project Number 1. Kathy, would you like to give a little overview of these for the trustees?
Now, I may ask Eric Winger to come up and do that. The items A and B are final acceptance of Project 180 packages. The first one is package number 1, and the second one is package number 2. But Eric, if you wanted to give a little update, great.
And I think what I'd like to do is actually the first 4 items on your agenda are all either amendments and final acceptances of each, and so I think I'll just address all 4. If you might recall, when we did Project 180, we actually installed landscaping that included not just the installation, but also a maintenance and an establishment period. And that was set at 3 years, and packages 1 through 5 each had those specs bid with construction. So what you're seeing in items A and B is that the establishment periods have actually been perfected. They've actually been done, and so those are 2 acceptances that you have on your agenda. But what you're going to see on items C and D is the reason for the amendment is that the establishment period isn't 100% complete, but we have come up with a better option to where we're able to actually transfer a lot of the landscape maintenance requirements to Downtown Oklahoma City, Inc., who can better manage the general landscaping in downtown, more so than maybe what the individual contractors can do at this point. So today what you're doing is you're accepting 2 of the completed projects, packages 1 and 2. On 3 and 4, you're actually accepting them, but you're also receiving monies back that were not used as a part of those contracts. And that money will be used towards the new agreement with Downtown Oklahoma City, Inc. Next month, we'll actually be bringing package 5 to you for a similar action to actually receive money and include it as maintenance. And 6 and 7, which are currently under construction, did not bid them with maintenance at all. And so we won't be having to do this in the future. When the work under packages 6 and 7 is complete, we'll just accept those like a normal project.
I'll move the item A.
Second.
A motion is second for item A. Any further discussion? Please cast your votes. And item A is taken care of. Item B.
I'd move the item.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes. Item C.
I'll move that item as well.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Please cast your votes. And item D.
Move item D. Second.
Any discussion? We're getting our signals straight, gang. Please cast your votes. And it is so done. Item E, Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The item E is an amendment number 5 and change order number 5 for package 6A. This is work that's underway. You'll see that it's a net decrease of $155,000. What we have is in the different packages, we've acquired and installed the street lights differently in each package, but we're finally to a method of being able to do that most efficiently by actually, in this case, pre-ordering a lot of the lights. It allows them to be available since they're a custom fixture more readily. Also for our replacement program, it helps us, for those that are knocked down, get those back up very quickly. But with that, package 6A bid the street lights and the installation. We have a number of lights that are already in stock, so what you're seeing is a credit for lights that do not need to be procured under package 6A, but we also are adding the installation of those that will be provided to them. So it's a net deduct of $155,000.
Thank you, sir.
Like to move item E.
We have motion and second. Any questions or discussion? Please cast your votes. And it is so approved. Next item is a resolution dealing with the extension and modification of our Development Trust Private Placement Tax Anticipation Note. Brent, would you like to discuss that for us, please?
Yes,
sir?
Mr. Chairman. At our last meeting, this body authorized the increase of our line of credit from $10 million to $18 million. At that time, I handed out a financial plan to you as to how we were looking at our associated risks with the indebtedness, the additional indebtedness. Subsequent to that, it was determined that we needed to bring that back to you and incorporate that into the actual resolution that you have before you today. I wanted to stress that it includes a modified financial plan along with talks about a restated note. And so with that, I'm happy to go over it in details. Again, just to remind you, when we did it last time, we looked at the current interest rate environment that we have right now is the 30-day LIBOR is currently at 18 basis points, and we have a spread of 60 basis points, so it's around 78 basis points on an annualized basis, so on that line of credit. And I provided you with the financial plan at 95 basis points, and then I also provided it to you at 500 basis points, or 5%. So in both of those occasions, we believe that we have the associated cash flow to meet the debt requirements. I will point out this is just, while it has a unique name, it's a line of credit at the end of the day, and we treat it as such. We only draw down when we need it, and our goal is to pay it back as soon as possible and continue to make things happen in TIF District Number 2.
Thank you, sir. Questions from trustees?
A question, Brent. The original amount was 15, and now it's evolved to 18. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. When we went out for quotes, when we did our RFP back in 2004, we asked for a $15 million line of credit. The loan bank provided us two options. They said we could do a $10 million line of credit with 60 basis point spread with no non-usage fee, or we could do a $15 million, and they would charge us 65 basis points and a 20 basis points usage fee. We elected at that time just to go with the 10 so we could get the lower rates and not have the non-usage fee. And so from that point, but we knew we were going to have to come back in a future time to increase it. We have a significant amount of projects that are coming to fruition, and we'll be making payments. You can kind of see today on some of the things on this claims where we're starting to pay additional funds. So, and we drew down for the first time on the initial $10 million this past month. So we did the bond, or we did it back in April of 14, and we went all the way through March until we actually started borrowing on it. So hopefully I answered your question.
You did. Do you anticipate then, with this maturity in 2016, that you might go back to the market to again bid now that we have a new principal?
It all depends on projects. As we have more projects come to us, we may have a need to go and borrow additional funds. From a long-term perspective, there's about a 24-month window where money gets kind of tight. It's just because when a project is completed, you don't start seeing that increase in taxes as a result of the project for about 18 months. And so I'll give you an example. For a project that completed at the end of 2014, it would go on the tax rolls at the new rate on January 1 of 15. The tax bills on that would go out at the end of this year, and they're due by March 31st of 16. The county apportions the funds to us in June of each year. So there's that lag time, and that's what this line of credit helps us with. But long term, this TIF district is in very good financial shape.
And again, but these funds we're talking about here are involved in TIF-oriented projects, not the SIP projects that are financed through the gold bonds.
That's correct.
So just keep that distinction in mind. Any more discussion or questions from the trustees? We have a motion? We have a second. Any further discussion? Please cast your votes. And it is so approved. Next item, we have a presentation, I guess, Ms. Kathy?
Yes, we do. Today, we have a resolution authorizing the general manager to negotiate with Paycom. This will be our third negotiations and transaction with Paycom to create new jobs in Oklahoma City. This most recent one is to create 423 jobs with an average salary of about $51,000 a year. And under our program, they would qualify for $1.2 million from the Strategic Investment Program. Chad Richardson with ACOM is here today to go through this project and what they've done in the past in Oklahoma City. Welcome.
Okay. Chairman McAtee, thank you for allowing us to present today. I'm Craig Bolte, the CFO of Paycom, and we also have Chad Richardson here as well. Just a little background about Paycom. I know we've been here before with a couple of other incentive opportunities. We were founded in 1998. We are a full-service HR and payroll company. We currently process for over 12,000 clients, both payroll and provide human capital management services for them. We serve clients in all 50 states. Our corporate headquarters are in Oklahoma City. We also have a processing facility in the Louisville area. So we have a large processing facility in Oklahoma City and then also one in Louisville. We had over 1,000 employees at the end of last year, with 673 of those in Oklahoma City. This is a map of where we have sales offices. So all of these sales offices are located throughout the United States, and we're servicing those clients through our Oklahoma City location in northwest Oklahoma City. Last year we added 5 new sales offices, and in 2014 we also added 5 new sales offices. So we're heavy in the northeast and along the west coast as well. This is a picture of our campus. I know some of you may have actually toured our campus with us, and we added the second building. We just completed it last year. Our first incentive was in 2010, and that was to create 492 jobs with an average wage of $36,800. The estimated impact on that was $100 million. We fulfilled that contract at the end of last year, so we had created those 492 jobs at the end of last year, and now we're in incentive number 2. Incentive number 2 was to create 667 new jobs with an average wage of greater than $40,000, and we're, like I said, we're starting in that contract now. This third one is to add another 423 jobs with an average wage of over $50,000, and we expect to fulfill that by the end of 2020. Paycom has experienced significant growth. We've grown at over 38% compound annual growth rate for the last 5 years, and we've also increased our employee count over that time period as well, growing from 523 employees up to over 1,021 by the end of 2014. When looking at where to expand, we really have 2 opportunities. Well, the opportunities are endless, but we really are looking to expand either in Oklahoma City or in the Louisville, Texas area, where we also have a presence. We kind of looked at the 2 opportunities. In Oklahoma City, we've added 115,000 square feet since 2010. The IT resources in Oklahoma City, we're one of the largest employers of IT resources here in the city. And then we also have the state income tax, and our previous relationship with the city trust is what, drives us to Oklahoma City. In Texas, we've added at least 8,000 square feet since 2010, and, the other benefits of Texas is there's no state income tax. Looking at Phase 3, we looked to, if we're looking at breaking ground no later than July 15th of this year and expected completion by July of 2016. The economic impact, it's a substantial economic impact by expanding here in Oklahoma City. Will increase the local tax base and will create and retain hundreds of jobs. Our capital commitment for the phase would be around $14 million for the construction of a 3rd building. New equipment and infrastructure is expected to be over $2 million.
Didn't you have a question?
Any question?
Would you be so kind to, in your comparison of Oklahoma versus Texas, you said limited IT resources. Would you expand on your thought there?
Well, when we're looking at IT resources, we hire a lot from the local universities. We're one of the largest providers, and, that's really what we're looking at is where we can, hire those people from. Obviously, Texas has, many more universities to pull from. We do bring people into Oklahoma City from out of state to work for us. So, that is an opportunity for us as well, and we are able to pull those to Oklahoma City. But, if you look at just the number of universities and the opportunities, it's a little more limited than in Texas.
Just, this resolution would authorize the general manager to begin negotiations with Paycom, and we would bring back an economic development agreement to you once those negotiations are completed.
I would just offer a word of thanks for the growth and investment that you continue to make in the area. The campus is impressive. More importantly, it seems to be the commitment to human capital, so I would gladly move the resolution and say thank you.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? Thank you for your confidence in Oklahoma City. And this, again, is a resolution to begin negotiations, and the contract will come back to us, probably by next month, in order to meet their deadline, or the month after?
Probably the month after that.
Month after? Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Motion is second. And it is so ordered. Thank you, sir, and good luck to you. Next up, we have another presentation. Ms. Kathy, you want to introduce this?
Oh. This next item is another resolution authorizing the general manager to negotiate with the Boeing Company for job creation in Oklahoma City. Boeing currently has about 1,850 people in Oklahoma City working, and this latest job creation program that they've approached us with is to create another 900 jobs in Oklahoma City with an average wage of about $90,000 a year. I think this is Boeing's third agreement with the trust as well, so we're with some of our regulars, but exciting companies and an exciting announcement. One thing that I want to say about this one is that we anticipate that Boeing will be working with the Oklahoma Industries Authority, which is a county trust, to help them with the construction of their facilities and their sites. So we're in lots of discussions with Boeing through the OIA to make that part of this transaction happen. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeb Boatman with the Boeing Company.
Thank you, Kathy. Mr. Chairman, my name is Jeb Boatman. I serve as Site Director and Chief Counsel at Boeing Oklahoma City. It's an honor to be here today representing the nearly 1,900 Oklahomans who work at our Oklahoma City campus. I'll begin with some thanks. First, thanks to the Trust for allowing us to appear here today to talk about this project and for the work that you do to create a business environment here in Oklahoma where businesses can grow and thrive. Second, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Kathy O'Connor and her team at the Alliance for Economic Development and Roy Williams and his team at the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce. The project we're here to talk about today is really months and months and months in the works. Both in the decision phase and now in the implementation phase. And at each point in that project, Kathy and her team and Roy and his team have provided invaluable guidance and assistance. It is not an exaggeration to say we would not be where we're at today in this project if it wasn't for their help. So thank you. I'll say a little bit about Boeing. Boeing is the world's largest aerospace company. It's headquartered in Chicago. We have about 165,000 employees around the world. Conceptually, it's kind of two business divisions. It's Boeing Commercial Airplanes and Boeing Defense, Space, and Security. The nearly 1,900 men and women who work here in Oklahoma City are on the defense side of the company, with a mission to support the Department of Defense nationally and our allies around the world, with a special emphasis on helping the men and women at Tinker Air Force Base. Now, as Boeing has grown its presence in Oklahoma over the last several years, we've also increased our impact in the community. Last year alone, Boeing employees logged about 5,600 hours volunteering for Oklahoma-based causes and charities. Last year, Boeing gave almost $900,000 along with its employee community fund to Oklahoma-based charities. This included significant gifts to the Urban League, to the United Way, and to Leadership Oklahoma, to name just a few. As we continue to grow in Oklahoma, we look forward to strengthening and deepening our relationship with these important community organizations. We also have a significant impact in the business community here, primarily through our group of Oklahoma-based suppliers. Boeing currently has about 145 Oklahoma-based suppliers, And last year alone, Boeing paid those suppliers approximately $850 million. That's $850 million paid to companies right here in Oklahoma. And as we continue to grow in Oklahoma, we look forward to deepening and strengthening our relationships with these Oklahoma companies. And now to the project we're here to talk about today. In September of 2014, Boeing announced a decision to move about 900 jobs from other parts of the country to here in Oklahoma City. Before Boeing made the decision to move those jobs, we reached out to the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce to inquire about generally available incentives for a project of that magnitude. The Chamber, working closely with the city, developed a proposal and submitted that proposal to Boeing. That involved potential participation in the Strategic Investment Program. Boeing incorporated that proposal into its business case analysis on deciding whether to move these jobs to Oklahoma, and I can tell you the availability of the Strategic Investment Program funds, along with incentives offered by the state, are an important factor in closing the business case to move these jobs to Oklahoma City. And so I want to thank you for what you have already done to get this project to where it is today. Boeing anticipates that these 900 jobs will move to Oklahoma City over the course of the next 3 years. That project is already underway. We expect that some of these jobs will be filled by people who will move to Oklahoma from other Boeing locations. But frankly, many, if not most, of these jobs will be filled through our local recruitment efforts and our regional recruitment efforts. Those efforts are underway, and so if you know an engineer, please feel free to send them our way. We need all we can get. And these are really top-notch jobs. These are the kind of jobs as a company that we're proud to bring to Oklahoma. They are highly skilled, highly educated positions, most of them in the engineering disciplines. Boeing anticipates that in the first year of this project, the average annual salary for these jobs will be about $90,000, and it will increase every year of the project. Until the last year, it'll have an average annual salary of about $99,000. As we increase our head count here in Oklahoma City, we'll also be increasing our physical presence here in Oklahoma City. As Kathy mentioned, we've been working with the Oklahoma Investment Authority and the Chamber of Commerce now for many months on plans to begin construction on a new physical facility here in Oklahoma City. We anticipate that facility will be about 290,000 square feet, with about 150,000 of those square feet devoted to state-of-the-art lab facilities. We expect it will involve a capital commitment by Boeing of approximately $80 million. So I'm here today with that background to respectfully ask that you authorize the city to begin negotiating with Boeing on a strategic investment program agreement related to these 900 jobs. And I'll end with this. It's really a time of unprecedented budget uncertainty for our Department of Defense customer. They're being asked to do more around the world to keep us safe, often with fewer and fewer resources. Boeing is making the hard decisions that we think are necessary to continue providing the highest level of support to the Department of Defense. And we thank the trust and we thank the city for all you have done to help Boeing on that path. And with that, I'd answer any questions the trust might have.
Thank you, Jeff. Questions from trustees?
With that wonderful presentation, how could we have questions?
Thank you.
I would gladly like to make that motion that we consider, that we approve this.
A motion is second. This does, in case you're just getting involved, does meet all the criteria for the strategic investment program that's funded by our 2007 Gold Bond initiative that the voters approved.
It does.
And so this is in keeping with that. And you might wonder, that particular program was not only to encourage businesses to move into the state and in our area, but also to grow existing businesses as they prospered and enjoyed the benefits of being in Oklahoma City.
Yes, and I think, both of these projects today, both Paycom and Boeing, are really good examples of companies that made a decision to locate here, and then when they had future decisions to make about expanding here or somewhere else, they're choosing to expand here. And the reality of the situation with both Paycom and Boeing is they could go anywhere in the United States and be successful, but they're choosing to come here because of our programs, of the state programs, and I hope our willingness to work with these companies and make economic prosperity happen for the community. So both really, really exciting projects for Oklahoma City.
And I guess we ought to also pass along thanks to our voters who had the foresight and vision to go ahead and approve this project, which now we're getting the dividends for as these companies are growing and prospering in Oklahoma City.
Absolutely. Yeah.
After that commercial, thank you for your presentation, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please cast your votes. And it is so ordered. Next up, we have the Alliance for Economic Development report.
This is the third quarter report from the Alliance for Economic Development. We provide these reports to you quarterly about the activities in the Alliance, and we also provide you a copy of our financial reports. Just to kind of hit the highlights, probably most of the work that we did over the past quarter was related to MAPS 3 projects and related projects. The Convention Center Hotel, both took a lot of time and attention over the past quarter. We issued RFPs for hotel developers in January, received the responses in March, shortlisted to 4 development teams later in March, so we're beginning the process to try to narrow that down to 1 hotel developer for the Convention Center Hotel. We've also been involved with the city on some of the decision-making about trying to find a different site for the convention center, making the decision to step away from the acquisition of the first designated site for the center and beginning to look at the process for how we are going to go about finding a new site for the convention center. So we've been working with that quite a bit. On the job creation piece, we've been very involved on the report. It's called Project AOTP. That was the code name for this project when it first came through from the Department of Commerce and through the Chamber of Commerce. So we've been very involved in working through the Oklahoma Industries Authority on identifying a site for Boeing, acquiring that site, and dealing with all of the intricacies of trying to get them in a position where they can begin construction of their facilities. We also had the kind of the end of the BNSF transaction. The rail yard purchase was during this past quarter, so that also took some of our time and efforts. On other redevelopment and revitalization projects, we completed the creation of the new TIF district, the Northeast Renaissance TIF district in Ward 7, and been working with Councilman Pettis on trying to get some projects started related to that TIF district. Some of the other projects that we've been working on are the renovation and restoration of the old Page Woodson School that's about at Northeast 4th and High. The Urban Renewal Authority owns all of the land around the Page Woodson School, so we have selected a redeveloper for the school and the urban renewal land and are trying to redevelop that into residential. So that project's moving along fairly well, and we hope to have construction underway later this year. Some of the other things, Park Avenue retail study that was presented here last month. We've done a retail study of South Oklahoma City about leakage. Where are people in South Oklahoma City shopping, and working with the chamber on some retail issues, and just all of our downtown development, working with Brent and the team at the city to review TIF projects and make TIF allocations and keep moving projects forward downtown. So that's really my report. In summary, there's more detail included in your packet, and I'll be glad to try to answer any questions.
Thank you, Kathy. Questions or comments from trustees? Let me ask you a question. In recent days, there's been some questioning over the TIF districts and how TIF works. Are we making progress in getting the various taxing bodies that are impacted by TIF to understand what's going on, and are they getting on board and contributing to moving these projects forward?
We've been working internally to develop more information about tax increment financing to prepare to roll out to all the other taxing jurisdictions and talk to them about it more with more detail and more specific examples and data from the past, about TIF and its impact in Oklahoma City. So we hope within the next few weeks that we'll begin to have those meetings with the taxing jurisdictions and kind of roll out some more educational information and meetings and discussions with them about TIF and the future of tax increment financing in Oklahoma City.
Thank you, Mayor. Action by the trustees, if there are no questions. That's your signal. I need a motion. Do we not need a thank you, okay. We have a motion. Poor Kathy was on life support up here. We have a motion and a second to receive the report. Please cast your votes, and it is done. Next up is the third quarter report from the Chamber of Commerce.
Glad to be with you again today. Kurt Foreman with the Greater Economic Development, Oklahoma City Economic Development Foundation, the Chamber. You've received our report. I think I can say the good things come in threes. People coming back for the third time. There's just lots of good things going on. It's the third quarter of the year. You'll see, I won't go through a lot of the detail, but we're on track on our measurements. Things are very positive. I almost would say that what's happening right now is a bit like the weather of the last 36 hours. It seems cold and maybe sort of off our normal path, but the reality is there's lots of really good things going on, and the heat will be back in a couple days. But there's lots of good things. We literally have teams on the road. We have a team in Ohio today calling on companies there. We have a team out in California at a corporate real estate conference engaging key leaders about Oklahoma City. We've got, I'm back from a trip where I spoke to about 500 energy executives in the UK a few weeks ago, telling the story of Oklahoma and Oklahoma City with Dr. McKeever, our State Secretary of Science and Technology and a professor at OSU. So we've been on the road sort of telling the story. It's not almost every single day in the last few days we've had good news from a prospect or someone we're dealing with, either a new project starting the process of evaluation or one's calling us to tell us they're going to be in town to go deeper and learn more about the market. So, we've completed a lot of really big projects. The 3-year effort with BNSF to get the rail yard, now we're in the implementation stages. We've worked for months and months and months, maybe years if you take all the phases of Boeing and their growth here, and now we're at that next stage. So I think the headlines really are, it's time for the next set of projects. We're already working toward that, and I think we're going to end up with a good year. Now, does that mean that there aren't sort of shadows or there aren't issues with families aren't experiencing challenges? There are families experiencing challenges. Either they haven't found that great job yet, or they work for someone who may be going through some challenging times, whether it's the energy sector or whatever. But that's why we always have to keep up the momentum, and we appreciate your willingness to keep the foot on the accelerator and help us continue to do that together. So I would just leave it as, but we are very encouraged by where we are right now and where we think the rest of the year is going to be. A lot of our existing employers tell us that they're not trying to reduce staff. They may cut hours in some cases, but they're working on backlogs. They've spent a lot of time fighting and working hard to attract very talented people from here in central Oklahoma, and they're not going to let those people go easily. So they're working hard to keep them employed. In many cases, people are thinking about small expansions, but they're not doing huge ones right now because they want to see how the rest of things go. But I'm very encouraged, and I would encourage you to be so as well. I'm happy to answer any specific questions if there are any. I'm going to be speaking at the Mayor's Roundtable next week on some of the development going on in the area, along with some other people from across the area as well.
Questions for Kurt?
See, the girls take the hint.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? And seeing none, please cast your votes. Thank you, Kurt, for that report. Next up, General Manager's report.
Yeah, before you is the General Manager's report through the month of March. There's not a lot of things to go into. I can just tell you that the outlet mall numbers, even with the closing of Saks, is still doing well. I think they're about 4.9% over target, and so they're still doing well to some degree. So, and then also, on one note, as relates to TIF District number 4, we did get some data finally from Dell that we're working on so we can get the state match for that TIF district. If you'll recall, TIF District 4, which is the Dell TIF district, there's a sales tax component to that, and it's based on salaries that are generated out at the Dell site. And Regina worked very diligently on trying to get that information from Dell, and we were able to get it, and now we've made the ask for the state to match the city's contribution to that. But any other questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Brent. Questions for Brent?
Second.
Seeing no questions, the motion has been made and seconded. Please cast your votes. And the general manager's report is received. That concludes the items on the agenda. Time for comments from staff. Any of the staff have any comments? Trustees, any trustees' comments?
It's just good to be a part of this trust, and also I just want to take the time out to thank Kathy, Brent, and also the Chamber for everything that you all do to promote economic development in our great city.
And especially in our great city, in what ward?
Ward 7. If you notice, that there were quite a bit of things in Ward 7 a part of today's meeting. So Ward 7, 7 Heaven.
We have to do that in the council to keep them pumped up, Jim, so there'll be these crash commercials.
As a resident of Ward 7, I'm grateful.
You like that. Thank you, John. Nice to have you with us. Any citizens who would like to be heard? Hearing none, we are adjourned.